When you talk about moxibustion, there are two different types. One is indirect, and the other one is direct. When we say indirect, means you are putting the herb on the skin, yet right between the skin and the herb, there is a material which is separating. So you do not get serious burn, so you do not get blisters, so you don't feel that much of pain. And this right here is actually a form of indirect moxibustion because it has a padding of paper. But since thousands of years ago, instead of padding of paper, we also have utilized ginger, we have utilized salt, we have utilized garlic, and all kinds of different things in order to perform indirect moxibustion. And direct moxibustion is actually something very barbaric, very, very dangerous, number one, and painful, which means you're actually burning the mugwort on the top of your skin. And it gives you tremendous pain, yet the result is phenomenal. That's why people over in Korea, Japan, and China are still doing direct moxibustion, even though they have pain and everything. So, when we talk about indirect, I can just go over little by little. This indirect moxibustion, all you have to do is literally, there is a sticker built in. And all you need to do is just remove the sticker, find the acupuncture points that you want to benefit, and then you literally light it up with a lighter or onto the candle. And hold it until it gets hot. And if it does get hot, more than you can handle, all you have to do is just use a tweezer and remove it. But a second later, 1 or 2 seconds later, put it back onto the same location. And you start with 1 or 2 bars, which means 1 or 2 acupuncture points. But once you get used to it, you can actually have it onto the palm of your hand or the back of your hand, 3, 4, 5, 10, or sometimes even 20. We have amazing amount of people who are doing probably 20 on each hand, 40 on both hands doing this. And yes, it does get hot. When it gets hot, we do not want you to hold on to it. We want you to either remove it with a tweezer or get rid of it if you cannot handle. Why? Because if you leave it too long, if you actually wait too long, you can actually get blisters onto those fingers, onto those hands, which means you will not be able to do it for a few days because it's painful. So at any cost, prevent that. We don't want you to get blisters. It is very easy for you to get blisters on the back of your hand because you do not have that much of skin or tissue or fatty lining that protects your hand. So we want you to be extra careful when you're doing on the back of your hands. So that's the little cigarette butt style. And another common thing that you have seen is a cigar style. It is indirect. You light it up with a lighter, and then you hold on to those locations. These are usually used, of course you could use it on your hand, but mainly used on your body meridians and acupuncture points. There are so many meridians and acupuncture points that we can utilize this. That's indirect. Another indirect thing that we do is we're using a ring like this. When you see a mugwort, this is all changed in physical forms from the leaves into this kind of cottonish, spongish. And you have a little mold that you put these in. And you squeeze it in. And once you get that out, you use a little stick in order to poke it in the middle, and then you pull it out. And it is in a form of a cone. What you do is you put this form of a cone onto a little ring, and it sits nicely so. And then you light it up with a lighter. And then you put it onto your acupuncture points of your body, or your shoulder, or your tummy, your dantian area, chungwan area, or anywhere. So basically by burning it, it will quickly become very hot. Then the whole idea is we do not want you to endure that heat. We want you to put another ring right underneath that ring, which will raise up the cone and that fire away from your skin, which will give you an extra few minutes to endure. And if even that gets too hot, you add one more to it. And you can add as many rings. And we do not, like I said, we do not want you to endure all that heat. And this was another way that we've been doing for many, many decades. And another thing that we also recommend is a modernized tool. I mean, it becomes very fancy. And this is nothing but a little base where you can actually adjust the height. You can also remove this part. It has kind of mesh things in it. So when you put this thing in there, let's say that you put it in there, and you light it up, it doesn't really fall onto your skin, which causes the burn. And this one also sits on top of that, so even if you are tilting, it will not fall off. So what I usually do is I usually leave it at that. And we light it up at the lowest area there, which will give you about this much of the distance from your skin to the fire. And as it gets hot, you raise it by turning it, like so. And as you turn, it gets higher and higher, so you can actually control the height of the fire. By doing that, by stimulating all that acupuncture points, you are getting all the benefits from the heat and also from the herb, the extract, the smoke, that kind of brownish that leaves behind when you're doing the moxibustion, the bar style. It's the same extract is actually touching your skin. And through that skin, you are absorbing all those benefits of moxibustion. And these are, and also there are a whole lot more, but these are very common ways of doing moxibustion onto your body. And when we talk about direct moxibustion, this is at least 3 years old of aged moxie. And what you do is you only utilize a little bit. I mean, this is a lot. You make a very small size of a rice grain, and you put it onto those acupuncture points of your body. There are very many acupuncture points from the front of your body and also the back of your body. And also you can utilize this for the arms and your legs and everything, depends on what kind of symptoms that you're experiencing. What we simply do is, I can just go ahead and demonstrate one part where I usually do. Let's say that you are feeling a lot of weakness, a lot of tiredness on the top of your body. Let's say that you are feeling lack of blood circulation, lack of lymph circulation, and a lot of issues with your headache area and so on. And this is where we put right at the top of your elbow. And you put a very small size of a rice to begin with. And right on top of that, and then you light it up with a lighter. Oops, it actually blew off. Oh, here's the reason why it blew off. What we usually do is we wet our fingertip with our saliva, and then we touch it, so it actually gets a good base onto those locations. And by doing it, you are lighting up that little part. And then it goes in, and it burns your skin. And you know what? It stings. And you can actually feel that pain. And by doing that, you could either just leave it at that, or you could place your fingertips so and press it down, which means that pressure that you feel will decrease the pain that you're feeling on that location. So that is a direct one. But we are doing only a small amount. But as you get used to it, we actually build the size of the moxie from the rice, or half of the rice, to the size of the grain of rice, or grain of bean, or grain of chestnut, or actually the size of an egg. And when you do a size of an egg, it will burn actually up to about 20, 25, 30 minutes once you light it up. But here's the thing. We do not recommend anyone, I repeat, we do not recommend anyone to do this unless it's necessary, unless it's a situation between life and death. Because the pain that you will feel is beyond description. The pain that you will feel, just think of it like this. You are trying to pay for the wrong things that you've been doing in your life, and you're exchanging it with the pain. The result of this moxibustion, of direct moxibustion, we have seen people, or we have literally over in Asia treated people with all kinds of different hard-to-cure diseases. And miraculously, they are seeing amazing results. So that's why still thousands and thousands of people are doing this, even though they are feeling all the pain and everything. When you have no other options, when you are a doctor, or when the modern science of medical says there's not much we can do, you have two choices. Just take it as it comes, or try something else where you still have some chance of getting good results. And that's why hundreds and thousands of people over there in Asia right now are still doing today of that kind of moxibustion. We have people with pictures and their signatures saying, this is what happened to me when I did direct moxibustion. And even in America, we have a few people who have tried that modality and has seen the results. But because it's so new to us here in America, and because we are not that tolerant for pain, it's very hard to find a volunteer or someone who's willing to say, I'll give it a shot. There are millions of people every year who are trying this. And if they keep it up, they will see the difference. But a lot of times people say, I cannot handle the pain, so I will give up. There was also another person that I knew, and she had this issue with colon cancer. And I told her exactly what to do, and she did what I told her to do for some time, which was indirect moxibustion. But as the symptoms, as the conditions got worse, I told her to try the direct moxibustion. Even before she tried the direct moxibustion, her parents said, let's not do that. Let's not cause that severe pain. Let's just go ahead and let her go in peace. And I kind of disagree with that. I mean, if it were my daughter, if she were my daughter, I would definitely say, hey, you know what? If you can tolerate it, go for it. Try it. Why? Because we're already losing the battle. So, what I usually tell people is this. Give yourself a fighting chance. You still have an option, even after all the hope seems like it's all gone. So try it, give it a shot. Direct or even indirect. Because indirect is very, very beneficial. If you keep that up, if you do 2 to 3 to maybe 5 bars a day per location of your issues, you will see dramatic difference within about a week if you keep it up. And if you keep it up for over a month, 30 days, you will clearly see the difference. If you keep it up for about 100 days, you will definitely see the difference between before and after. And that's why, even though it's very painful, we are still doing it over in Asia. So that's basically the modalities of moxibustion.